I have to deal with a lot of, silly stereotypes that the women can do this kind of work, surgery, facial surgery.
Hello and welcome to this edition of the Rhinoplasty podcast with me, Dr. Cameron McIntosh. We are in the month of April with the leading ladies around the world, brought to you by Pentax Loops. Now, if you listen to the end of the podcast, I'm going to be able to give you the person to contact for Pentax Loops. These are game changers. Normal loops, you're looking straight down, damaging your neck, small field of view. Pentax Loops have changed the game. They've got a wide field of view, and you can look straight ahead, whilst this prism loop allows you to look down on the patient. So I'm a firm believer in getting Pentax Loops. So let's just crack on now. So our guest for today, I'm very excited. All the way from South America and Ecuador, the president of the Ecuadorian Rhinology and Facial Plastic Society, Mariana Vasquez. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Cameron. How are you? How are you doing today?
Hey, Mariana, I'm doing great. I've had a lovely weekend of recording all the leading ladies, and it's a Sunday night, so end of the week for me, and it's nice to have a cherry on the top of the cake by interviewing you.
Cam, this is the first time that I'm going to share part of my personal life, and I am so pleased to do this, very good, very original idea.
Well, Mariana, thanks, man. It's for, a lot of the speakers, the influential speakers who are around the world and they're all on the show, we used to hearing these great talks, but we want to kind of get into who are these people, what makes them tick, how did they end up doing what they're doing. So I appreciate your vulnerability in that, and also just appreciate the fact that you can take time off on a Sunday from your family to come and talk to me. So tell me a little bit more about yourself.
Okay, how can I describe myself? I can consider myself a very active person who really likes to enjoy life, who likes to learn everything every day, who never stays behind, who likes to be surrounded by family and true friends, who is very passionate about her work, very well organized, and expects the best always in her field, the rhinoplasty surgery.
Well, that's great. But now, how do you balance that? How do you become the president of the National Society? You speak on many webinars, and yet you married twin 18-year-old daughters. How did you manage to marry all of that together?
I think it's because when you really feel passion for what you do, you really find the proper time, for each thing of your life. For me, it's very important, my work, but also very, very important, my family, my kids, my husband. I think that the part that really bounds to us and to deal with this is because we are involved in the medicine field. My husband is a plastic surgeon. I am an otolaryngologist and a facial surgeon. So my kids are studying medicine. I come from a family where all my brothers, 5 brothers, are doctors. My father is a doctor. So this is my life. Medicine is my passion and my love. That's why.
That's amazing. Okay. So, but now tell me, I'd be interested because we've interviewed ladies from different parts of the world, and some of them have had some tough times as a woman in facial plastic surgery. What's your experience been like as a woman in facial plastic surgery?
Okay, I think this is a really tricky question. You know why? Because I belong to that era where 30 years ago, I started in this career in medicine. Studying medicine. And at that time, I made up my mind. I want to be a plastic surgeon. But in the way, I met my husband, who is 10 years older than me. So I decided at that time, okay, I don't want to have any competition with my husband. Because at that time, it was really hard to be a woman and to be a surgeon. So especially if you're going to live with a plastic surgeon. So at that moment, I said to myself, okay, I'm gonna pick a career, but we can share certain things, but we can't generate any competition. So I decided to study otolaryngology. And after that, when I finished otolaryngology, I said, okay, this is not enough. I really want to have a fellowship. So I decide I have to go to Barcelona, Spain, and I had 1 year of fellowship with ear surgery with Dr. Garcia Ibanez in Barcelona. So after that, you know what? I came to Ecuador again, and I said, okay, I'm gonna pick a different way, different to my husband. And then I started doing ear surgery, but it didn't feel me. It didn't feel me the way I felt when I decided to do, plastic surgery. So I said, okay, I'm gonna try some rhinoplastic work with my patients, and I'm gonna see what is gonna happen. And then my patients, start liking me as a doctor who does a good work in nose surgery. So I said, okay, what am I going to deal with my husband and not generating any competition with him? So I said, okay, I'm going to have a backup. I need a title that makes me very confident about this field. So I decided to do the homologation with Dr. Fernando Pedrosa in Colombia. So I went to Colombia, and that's why I have a title as a facial plastic surgeon. And after that, my life changed totally, totally, totally. So now I can feel very confident about my work. I am improving my results. Maybe it's because of the self-esteem that you can gain through the years. And I have a good backup. I have a title that encouraged me to do this work. And I really love my work, what I do now.
That is really inspiring. So now tell me, so your husband, is he more body plastic and then you the facial plastics?
Yes, that's why. He's a plastic surgeon. He does corporal surgeries, also facial surgeries. When he has his patients, I help him. When I have my patient, he helps me. And, now I can say that it was a hard way. I can't tell you that it is not a hard road. And I have to follow that road until I got what I want. I have to deal with a lot of, silly stereotypes that the women can do this kind of work, surgery, facial surgery. But now I can feel so happy about this, and I can have a very good, work with my husband, sharing what we really like to do, facial surgery.
Yeah, but that's great. So my wife is actually my assistant for my rhinoplasties. We were at med school together, but then I went further and specialized and she didn't. But it's quite nice. So you can have a bit of husband and wife time in the operating room at the same time. So,
Yeah.
Mariana.
Let me tell you, it's not easy. It's not easy, but at the end of the road, we can make it. We can make it. And you know what? That's why at the end of all this way, we decide to have a center. So we have a facial plastic surgeon center now here in our city. And we share our patients. He has his own patients. I have my own patients. But everybody knows that we are a team, a surgery team. So that's great. I think this is incredible.
Okay, so what would your message be for particularly girls who are considering a career in medicine?
The pitfall for career of medicine?
What would your message be to girls who are considering wanting to make a career out of medicine and become doctors?
To become doctor, what do they have to have?
No, what would you say to a girl if a girl comes up to you and she says to you, Dr. Mariana, I'm thinking of wanting to become a doctor? What would your response be to them?
Okay, to encourage them to follow medicine. I think, in every field of your life, if you want to be the best doctor, do it. If you want to be the best architect, do it. But try to do your best, to be the best version of yourself in this field. Because if you just say, okay, I'm going to study medicine because I want to have a very high social life and have a little bit of money doing this career, the success is not going to be enough if this is only economical, But if you say, no, I am very passionate about this work, do it, because this is hard. I know medicine is hard, has been hard all the life, and you have to keep learning every day of your life. But if you are very passionate about that, do it. Why not? everyone can do it.
Now, so your kids are doing medicine, your hubby's, you're a specialist, 5 brothers are doctors. What do you do when you're not doing medicine?
It's hard to tell you what I do when I am not talking about medicine, but you know what, Cam? I really enjoy my house. I really enjoy my life at home. I like to do a lot of exercising. I have my own gym at home. I do a lot of running. I like to watch a lot of movies with my kids. And also I like to play my piano because I was learning piano since I was 5 years old. So I really enjoy that.
Okay, so what kind of running do you do?
Home.
Do you do trail running? Are you running on what distance do you run?
Until now, 16 kilometers. Yeah, those are, the races that I had been running. And I have a lot of certifications of that. So I can't lie to you.
Well, that's
and
great.
Also,
well, we're going to have to run together one day.
Yeah.
But the climate in Ecuador must be pretty hot during the day. I mean,
not really. I live in the Sierra. So in the Sierra, the temperature, the highest is 24. And normally it's 18 degrees, 17 degrees. Now, especially now, we are having temperatures like 8, 10 degrees in the morning. So it's a little cold, the Sierra. Yeah. It's different to the coast. The coast, you can deal with the weather of maybe 30 degrees. Yeah, this is high. I mean Celsius grades.
Sure. Oh, well. Okay, so let's move on now into getting into a little bit more one of the topics you want to teach us about. I know you were one of the people who spoke at the World Rhinoplasty Day last year. I was blown away by that. And the team from Ecuador was great. But tell us about what you want to share with tonight. And then at the same time, you can open your screen. And I'd remind you that for the people who are not watching it on YouTube but are listening on the podcast, you will have to explain really nicely as you go through your slides what you're talking about.
Yep, very well. Let me share.
So does your husband also run with you?
No, now this is a work that we made together with my husband. This is the use of connective tissue in rhinoplasty. So are you watching now this?
Yes, thank you. That looks great.
Okay, very good. So here I am, Mariana Vasquez. Victor Salcedo is my husband. We have the Center Excellence here in Cuenca, Ecuador. So I wanted to show you something about this connective tissue that we are using maybe like 2000 and 2015, maybe. Yeah, we start using that kind of tissue. We discovered this tissue because we were doing a lot of secondary rhinoplasty, patients who came to our offices looking for a better nose, and we had to deal with what kind of reconstruction we could offer to these patients, especially with a lot of irregularities in their dorsums. So always we go first to the ears to get the cartilages that we're going to use for the reconstruction of their noses. So when we were dealing with that, trying to obtain the retroauricular cartilage, we found that connective tissue. And the first time we used that connective tissue, we used just for covering a graft that we were using for reconstruction of the nasal tip. So this is the connective tissue that soften contours, especially used in thin skin for creating a dorsum uniformity, and also makes easier the integration of the grafts. So what is the connective tissue? It's a soft tissue with rich in collagen fibers, elastic fibers, and makes the integration of this tissue so easy inside the nose. Where do we obtain this lax connective tissue? From the retroauricular region, as you say, here. So we use this to cover irregularities of the nasal dorsum, as you can see here in this dorsum of the patient in the photo. This is a very good for covering, especially when we are placing the graft cartilages using in the nasal tip. We have to soften the contours of the nose, of the nasal tip. We don't want they really be visible through the skin, so we use this tissue for covering all the grafts. As you see, we are using this connective tissue for creating a soft implant with diced cartilage for making a very good augmentation of the nasal dorsum in people who have short noses. And this tissue normally we obtain from the retroauricular region, and we fill this with diced cartilage from the retroauricular region cartilage, nasal septum, or costal cartilage. As you can see, this is the implant that we use normally for augmentation of the dorsum. I can't tell you that this is, wow, just the only tool that we can have for making an augmentation of the nasal dorsum. But this is another chance that you can have it if you say, okay, I don't have fascia. I don't want to take a temporal fascia because this is really thin and this patient has a really thin skin. In these cases, you can have this connective tissue. So you can see the photo. This is the retroauricular region. You can find here the retroauricular cartilage and also obtaining this connective tissue from the retroauricular region. So you don't need to make 2 incisions for getting this tissue.
So Mariana, question there. Are you taking it more retroauricular rather than onto the mastoid?
Yeah, more retroauricularly, because we start, making the incision in the middle part of the concha. So after that, we start doing our work, because if you go really more to the temporal bone, you're gonna find the muscles. It's gonna be so bleeding, and you don't like to find a lot of blood in your field. So you just start where you get the retroauricular cartilage. You can see in the photo the diced cartilage. We are using, in this case, retroauricular cartilage. We dice that cartilage so little. And then we fill that, making the implant from the retroauricular region, the connective tissue, with diced cartilage. Then we do the insertion of soft implant in nasal dorsum with superior and inferior external fixation, because you need to be so secure that you are going to place this implant in a way that doesn't create any deviation of the dorsum. And what I told you before, we published 15 patients doing this technique for dorsal nasal augmentation. And we took the measures of this implant before, the short nose, and after the surgery with the implant. And we could, accomplish that the millimeters that we need to create for this new dorsum were all the time conserved during the time. So this is really cool, not only because of the photos, not only because it's a subjective thinking of the patient, it's because we made the measures of the dorsum. So the height of the dorsum, to the radix, to the middle portion, and to the nasal tip. So it keeps the same height during the years. That was made, this study, in 2017, yeah. And this is the video.
No, ahí está perfecto.
Sorry, I like to put a lot of music when I got a surgery.
I hope that's your own piano music in the background.
This is the incision, and I am just, taking out the retroauricular cartilage, and then I am creating with the connective tissue that implant, and I am dicing the cartilages. This is retroauricular cartilage. Normally, I don't like to crush. I like to put in the same way that you see inside using an insulin syringe, and then I fill the implant with that diced cartilage inside the implant. And then I try to close, I saw all that with Vicryl 4O, and I close the implant properly in a very good way so the diced cartilage is not getting out. So now I'm using in this patient, because this was a patient who had 4 surgeries before, so I didn't have any septal cartilage for making the reconstruction of the nasal tip. I was using a septal extension graft from retroauricular cartilage. And then I am placing now the implant of this connective tissue in that nose. As you see, 2 points of fixation, superior and inferior. And that's it. I think this is a very, very good choice for reconstruction of nasal dorsum. This is very, very good.
How much?
I like especially the results.
In the Ecuadorian population and the rhinoplasties you do, how much dorsal augmentation do you do? Is it quite common to build up the dorsum or not really?
Well, I can tell you something now, especially now, I don't find really a lot of surgeries for making dorsal nasal augmentation, but I have a lot of surgeries, secondary surgeries, where I find a lot of irregularities in the dorsum. Those horrible irregularities with thin skin and a lot of fibrosis that makes me very good cases for doing this technique. Not for augmentation, for covering with the tissue, with connective tissue in the dorsum. So it makes very, very good. So as you can see, the result is not, noticeable, because you can see there is a high and hard collapse of the nasal tip of this patient. He couldn't breathe. He couldn't, use the nose for breathing. And the first time that he visited to my office, he told me, "Hey, doctor, I had, 4 surgeries in my nose. I don't know, what can you offer me?" So I said to him, "Did somebody tell you about this?" And he told me, "No, not until now." I said, "Okay, let's do it. Let's use this connective tissue in your nose and make the reconstruction of that nasal tip and the alar cartilages with the ear cartilage." You can see.
Wow. It's great results.
I think this is the view where you can observe with the detail all the things that we made with that tissue. It's really cool. You see, this is the lateral view. You can see the height of the dorsum. You can see the better projection and rotation of that nasal tip. Also the reconstruction of the alar cartilage in this patient, that was cool. That was really good. I felt comfortable with that result, especially after 3 surgeries behind you. So this is another view of this patient, and especially after this surgery, the patient was able to breathe, which is very important in a patient. And look, this is what I say. This is a very hard collapse of the nose. And this is another patient. This is a short nose. She had 2 surgeries before coming to my office, and she was looking for the same. "I really hate my nose. I really hate my face. I don't like this result. Everyone tells me that I have a pig nose, like a pig with the nostrils, facing to your face, doctor. I am very disappointed of my results. I am having even depression," she told me that. And I was using also this. I made also the implant with this tissue, connective tissue. As you can see, you can see in the result that she has 3 surgeries, counting with my surgery, 3 surgeries in that nose. You can't realize, because it looks like a normal surgery, that it was the first time that she had the surgery. Look at this. So I think it's a good tool. I like to recommend this for my
So,
patients
Mariana,
now.
do you use the connective tissue in primaries ever? Or is it only in these
Yeah,
secondaries?
yeah, even in primary surgeries, yeah. I start only with secondary surgeries, and then I realized why not in primary surgeries, where especially when I find thin skin. Have you seen those really thin skin that lets you visualize all the bones and cartilage through the skin? Have you seen those? I have a lot of that here in Cuenca. So I just offer this tool because I know that no one likes to see through the skin all what is behind the skin. They like to see a beautiful nose, but they don't want people know that they went under surgery. I don't know if that happens in South Africa, but here, oh my God, here all the patients are demanding for those kind of surgeries,
And
natural
so I want to ask you a
surgeries.
question about the connective tissue that you get retroauricularly. So if you're not going to be putting diced cartilage in, you're just going to be laying it over the dorsum. How much of the nose do you lay over? And then more or less, how big is it? Would it be come from the radix right to the supratip break point? How big a piece would you normally put on if someone does have very thin skin?
Okay, if a patient has a normally really thin skin, I normally do for covering the graft. If I'm going to use a graft in the nasal tip, I just cover the part of the graft that is going to show through the skin. For example, if you use a sheen in the nasal tip, you just cover, the upper part of the sheen. If you are using in a pec, so you just cover the upper part of the pec. So you can't abuse of this connective tissue, because if you believe that you are going to cover the whole nose with the connective tissue, what you are going to find as a result is a really thick nose without the break point of the supratip, which is really bad. Look at this. I think those are results that I like to see in my patients, natural results. You see?
Yeah, no, it looks beautiful.
That's what I wanted to share with you.
Sure. Well, thank you. That's a very interesting tool to add to the armamentarium. The last question on the graft is, how thick is the graft? Obviously, you must also bear in mind if the patient has thick skin or not. So as a general rule of thumb, it's with the thin skin patients that you use it more than with the thick skin patients.
In the way that I shape the connective tissue?
Yes,
or
please.
What?
Yes, that would be great.
Well, you obtain that tissue from the retroauricular region. You just place in the, in those graph little things that you have for, making. You have to get rid of any fat that contains that tissue, because the fat makes you thicker the nose. But if you just take that connective tissue, you don't smash, you don't crush, you don't, try to make thinner. You just use the blade, the 15 blade, and you just get rid of any little fat around that tissue. That's it, no more. And you just place, if you wanna place in one little thing of the nose, because you notice that maybe the part of the cartilage is showing a little bit through the skin, you use just in that part. In what way you can place that? Using needles, in a way that you saw as I use placing the implant inside the nose.
Well, that's awesome.
It's so easy. It's so fun.
I've got a secondary revision, tertiary revision tomorrow, so I'm definitely going to be using this in my case tomorrow.
Very good. Very good. Let me know the results.
No, I will. So tell me now, we've chatted quite a lot. It's been very interesting for me. I think it's a very clever tool to use. How do you now, I mean, you kind of, where you're at now, been in this game for 30 years, you say, been doing medicine. Where do you see the future of rhinoplasty going over the next decade or two?
Well, I think, it's a matter of time, because the future of rhinoplasty, I will see a lot of women involved in this field of rhinoplasty in the future, because they are, trying to break the stereotype of that certain specialties are meant only for men. So I can see that now. I can see a lot of women who are doing very well done rhinoplasty work. And I can see also in the future, because this field of rhinoplasty demands a lot of detail in the surgery. So I can see that nowadays, I can see some tools that you can use for making those little details of the dorsum, especially of the dorsum, very well corrected using certain tools like, for example, those ultrasonic rhinoplasty, tools that make you the ability of correcting little details. Because perfectionism is really now so high in the people. I don't know if you can see the same, but I can see my patients, or maybe it's because I am trying to offer that my patients demand perfection in their noses. They are looking at the mirror like 40 times a day after the surgery. So before the surgery, I try to make them realize the little details that they have in the nose. So in that way, I am not going to have a lot of surprises, in the post-op. I am doing that, and I see this is the future of the rhinoplastic, the perfection in the result. They are very demanding patients now.
Yeah, I think it's just in the generation we're in, and selfies and how much more social media, etc., there's involved. So when it comes to a patient coming to see you for rhinoplasty and you show them these very small little differences, do you take photographs, and do you morph with photographs and talk to the patients about what their result could be like?
You know that the pre-op, I really like that interview with the patient. I normally take like 1 hour and more of, time, because I really need to know what is inside the mind of the patient. Sometimes what is good for you is not good for me. What is beauty for you is not beauty for me. So I try to clear what is inside that mind. So normally I take the photographs of the patient, then I say to the patient, okay, with these photographs, let me show you in the Photoshop, what am I planning to your face? Normally I tell to the patient, I don't see only your nose. I see the whole face. And if I can see that is not a good balance with the new nose that I can create to you, let me tell you what else I can advise to your face. So in that moment, I just say to the patient, I'm gonna do this work, and if you like it, okay, tell me now. But if you don't like it, also tell me what would you like to change about the face. So in that moment, I do the work, I show to the patient, and the patient says, oh my God, I never believed that I could have that look. Oh my God, I love it. And there are some patients that in the first, they say, but I could like that. Maybe you could advise me something else in the dorsum, because I'm not really convinced about that dorsum. And I say, okay, what could you like in the dorsum? Do you like, higher? Do you like maybe low? And they said, I don't know, you just, advise me. And I said, okay, I'm going to create another profile for you. But if I see that after the second profile that I offer to the patient is still like not trusting the plan of your surgeon, I said to the patient, okay, I think this is the thing that I can offer to you. I don't know what the expectations of the surgery you can have inside your mind. I prefer really to let you go. This is the way that I can, avoid having problems with my patients in the future. And normally, the 90% of the patients, they said, okay, this is cool. I like it, doctor. But there are, certain patients that they don't even know what they want. And if they don't know what they want, nothing is going to convince them that is going to fit you, So
I remember
this is the way that I proceed.
Somebody once told me, you never regret the operations you didn't do.
Yeah. Yeah. And normally, sometimes because it's a challenge for you, not letting that patient, goes out, feeling that you are not good enough for that patient. You just say, okay, I'm going to be patient. I'm going to show this patient more and more and more and more about me, until you just said, okay, the patient said, okay, I like it. But after the surgery, you just regret it. You just said, oh my God, why? Why? I received signals and I didn't do anything. So that's why.
Sure. Okay, so the last question I wanted to ask you was, tell me a little bit more about your guys' society. What's the history? When did it start? What does it do? Yeah, you're the president at the moment. Do you have meetings now? How's COVID affected us? I'm interested to know about the society a little bit more.
Okay, let me tell you that I am in this society like maybe 10 years ago, and I was part of the society, but in a way that they chose me for, being a speaker in reunions, in meetings, in congresses, but I wasn't an active part of the society. So until the last year, they called me, I received a call from someone who was a president of the society, and he told me, would you like to be the president? And I said, oh my God, but what I have to do in this society, because I don't know so much about this society. And he said to me, no, you're going to learn so fast. This is easy. You just have to gather people. And I said, but in what way? Now we are, inside the house. I can't have any meeting. And I said, no, don't worry about that. With the time you're going to learn. And I said, okay, another challenge for myself. Okay. I said, okay, let's go. And after that, when I start, doing or having this responsibility, I said to myself, what are you going to do in this year? This year, everything is closed. You can't organize any Congress, because for me, the Congress is like the gathering of all the knowledge of all the professors and teachers around the world. So I said, what am I going to do? Everybody is organizing these webinars. So I don't know, people are getting tired of these webinars. And I said to myself, I'm going to try to do my way, the way I can do it. Then I received a mail from the International Federation of Facial Plastic Surgeon Societies. And it was incredible. That was a really wonderful surprise to find people very humble, very intelligent, very skillful, and trying to provide me a lot of tools for making our societies better. Sharing knowledge, being part of the international knowledge. And I said, okay, I'm going to take it. And I'm going to have a reunion with my people, telling them that there are benefits that maybe we didn't know. And now we are sharing those benefits. And we are being part of these benefits of sharing knowledge and webinars and more things that they are planning for the next years. So I'm really cool with this. I don't know, maybe you can tell me more, because you have been organizing a lot of original things around the world.
Yeah, no, it's been fun. COVID's been changed the game for us completely. But Mariana, what strikes me the most is just your enthusiasm. We've chatted now for like nearly 40 minutes, and it's just great to see somebody who's out there. You want to make it happen. You're not involved with all the extra politics, etc., etc. I think it's such an inspiration, not just to the ladies out there, but to the guys as well. So I really want to wish you the very best. I hope things just go from strength to strength for you in the practice and in the society, and as you mentor more ladies to be part of this wonderful rhinoplasty world that we find ourselves in.
Yeah, I think that you are one of those guys who are doing a very good part in doing and organize these kind of original things, that these, making the place for women who are leading rhinoplasty in the world. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for doing this work, Cam. Very good.
That's
very
great.
good.
Thank you. So to those listeners who've gotten all the way to the end now finally I'm giving you the details for being able to get these very cool Pentax loops. So what you need to do is go to their website, which is www.pentaxloops.com. That is PENTAXLOUPES.com. Send them an email and tell them that you listened to Mariana on this Rhinoplasty podcast and that they must give you a good deal on some very cool loops. So yeah, that brings us to the end. Mariana, thank you very much. It's such a pleasure to have had you on the show, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much, Cam. See you soon. Bye.